afternoon, friends, and welcome to Mountain Patriot Homestead. Glad you could join us again today for another visit here on the homestead. It's been a little bit since we visited. Of course, we had Thanksgiving happen, and so I put out just that little short thing showing our romp through the woods and through the mud. But other than that, we really haven't sat and visited since before Thanksgiving. So thought it would be a good time to say hello and just kind of talk about a few things. If you see me looking down today, it's because I actually have notes in front of me trying to keep me a little bit on track. I don't like having a script. I've never been one to follow a script, even whenever I was in drama. I'm real apt to ad-lib some, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. It's either that or I'm grabbing my cup of coffee. Oh, and I'm going to show off my mug. My eldest brought me a mug. He knows I love my coffee and he knows I love my son. So thank you, sweetie, for my mug. I've got it full of good hot coffee. It's a little nippy this evening. Even in the house, I'm not just real hot, so I'm enjoying my coffee. So if you want to pour you something and pull up a chair, let's just visit for a little bit. As I mentioned, my oldest brought me a mug. He and my daughter-in-law joined us for Thanksgiving. My other children weren't able to make it, but they know Mama loves them, and no matter where they're at, my thoughts are always with them. Hope you did have a good Thanksgiving. Hope everyone was healthy. I hope you got to be with loved ones. If you did not, I know you thought about them. I hope you had plenty to eat. I know we did around here. We didn't have a traditional Thanksgiving. We didn't make turkey and, sweet potatoes and that sort of thing. We did have some Cornish hen. We fired up the smoker and put some Cornish hen out there, and that everybody got their own bird. So that was, of course, I can't make it through the holidays without dressing. So I made some dressing. I love that stuff. So I probably ate more dressing than I needed to eat, but it sure was good. And my desserts, the normal desserts around our house are sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie and pecan pie. That's the normal. Almost any Thanksgiving, Christmas, that's what we have around here. Well, this year was a little bit different because, well, number one, I didn't have any pecans. The pecans I was supposed to be getting, for some reason, the place I was getting them from weren't able to get them. They were bringing them in from Georgia or somewhere, and they weren't able to get them in time. So I didn't make pecan pie, but what I did do is I looked up a recipe. I was trying to figure out what can I make, because I love pecan pie. My oldest loves pecan pie. What can I make that will, if you hear some major noises going on in the background, we've got like 40-mile-an-hour winds this afternoon, so that's what all that racket is. Anyway, back on the pies. I was trying to find some substitute since I didn't have pecans to make pecan pie, and I found a recipe in a cookbook that my little sister had gave me this past year. It's an Amish cookbook, and there was a recipe in there for an Amish oatmeal pie. Now that may sound a little odd, but I got to looking at the ingredients that were very similar to the ingredients of a pecan pie. And so I done some research. I Googled, okay, it's not like it was any in-depth research or anything. I Googled and found out that oatmeal pie is used as a substitute for pecan pie, and I made some of that, and I don't know how everybody else felt about it, but I thought it was pretty darn good. And again, probably eat more of that than I needed to. And the other thing I made, we have grown our own pumpkins, and so I have pumpkin canned around here, And I decided I was just going to make pumpkin pie. And I had a shortbread crust that I'd made up because that sounded pretty tasty. So I made a shortbread crust, and as I was getting the crust ready, and it was already it wasn't a soft crust. It was already a hard crust. It fell apart. To make a long story short, it just fell apart. And so it was like, oh, now what? Well, you just do what you got to do. So I poured the custard part of the pie into a bowl. Or I say into a bowl, into the pie plate. I put the custard part into the pie plate, and then I crumbled up the shortbread part of it on top. And so it was, I called it my upside down pumpkin pie, because the crumble part of it was on top and then the custard on the bottom. It tasted good to me. Again, I'm not real picky. You can tell, I'm not real picky about food. So all the flavors were there. It was just upside down. So I was good with that, and it all got wiped out, so I guess it was okay. Another thing I made, my husband does not like pies. He's just not a pie person. And he is a banana pudding fanatic. He loves banana pudding. So he wanted banana pudding. I bought the ingredients. I might have mentioned this in a previous thing about going and buying the stuff for banana pudding, how it was like $12 for the ingredients just to make the banana pudding. But I made the banana pudding and made about 5 pounds of banana pudding. I mean, no wonder it cost so much to make it. But I think I went overboard on the banana pudding. But anyway, it was good banana pudding. We even took that when we went out mudding. We took, sandwich stuff with it. We took sandwiches with us, and we took banana pudding with us. So it all got wiped out. So apparently none of it was stuff that people just didn't want. And again, we all got full and enjoyed ourselves and laughed. And when you go play in the mud and bounce through the mud to finish out the day, we decided, hey, maybe we've started a new family tradition for Thanksgiving. The only thing is it has to rain every Thanksgiving, so the day after we could go mudding. But now it'll never rain again on Thanksgiving. But we had a good time, and we hope that y'all did as well. I want to apologize for it being such a while in between videos. For one thing, we work full-time, and we've got the homestead that once we get home from work, we've got to take care of everything that needs doing here on the farm. Especially in the wintertime, everything needs feeding. There's hay to put out. There's, you've got to keep feed out for everything. And if it's freezing, you've got to bust water, and, it just needs a lot of hands-on. So I apologize that there's such a time between videos. Another reason is, and I'm really not trying to make excuses, it may sound like that, but I'm really not trying to, is I'm trying to improve these videos. I'm learning. I told you that from the very beginning. I don't know squat about vlogging or whatever it's called, but I'm learning as I'm going. And one of the things that I have done is I ordered some accessories to hopefully make these videos a little better quality. I'll still be using my phone because I can't afford a camera yet to do this with, but I'm using a cell phone. But it was like a tripod and a lighting system and a microphone system. It was just some little accessories that come in a kit. They're probably not just real high quality, but they come in a kit that I've ordered, and they were supposed to be in today. Notice I said supposed to be. I keep getting these notices. I've actually got a couple of different things ordered, and both of these things were supposed to have arrived today, but I keep getting notices, your order's delayed. your order's delayed. It'll get here sometime next week, or, you know, hopefully by 2025. But anyway, I'm just, you know, I'm waiting on this stuff to come in, and hopefully it will, and I can start putting out better videos. I wanted to do some cooking videos. You know, I'm sorry, I am not a chef. I'm not Martha Stewart or Paula Deen or anybody like that. So my cooking videos are it's going to look like you're in Mama's kitchen, because the cooking videos are not going to be anything fancy. But I really can't do that without having a good system where I can... You would laugh if you could see what I've got this phone propped up on now. It's on my tea maker. It's on my tea maker sitting in the middle of my kitchen table. So there, now you know my fancy setup I've got. But again, that's what I'm hoping for, is I can get some stuff in here, and so I can set it up. If I'm cooking, I can set it up where you can see what I'm doing, because you've got to be able to, you know, finagle things around where you can see the bowls and see what's happening. But until then, I really am kind of limited on what I can do. So that's what's going on with that. That's why there's such a while in between videos sometimes. What else do we have going on around here? Oh, we've got a new calf. Again, if we go to the auction, if we head over to the auction, that is something that we should stay away from. Because if we go to the auction, we're going to come home with something. And we took ducks over and ended up with a calf, a little bottle calf. Now I say little, he's a young bottle calf. He was probably, I don't know, at the most he's a week old. And his mama just didn't have enough milk, so we brought the little feller home, and so we're bottle feeding twice a day. And again, when you've got a homestead or you got a farm or something, you pretty much tie yourself down, especially when you just keep adding projects and things like that. So we've got this bottle calf that we feed twice a day, and even though he's only maybe 2 weeks old now, he is a solid little chunk. I think he's a little Charolais, and he's a beef bull, whatever breed. I'm pretty sure he's a Charolais, and he is just a little chunk. And I'll make a video one day, some little short or something, just so you can see. But he's a cutie. He's eating up storms, healthy, and so I'll introduce you to him sooner or later. What else? Well, other than just getting ready for the holidays around here, as you know, I've made the video before, showed you my stuff, you know, my trees and all that stuff. So I've got that going. I have not started doing a bunch of holiday cooking or anything. It's just me and my husband. And if we cook it, we're gonna eat it. And so we try to not make a whole lot of sweet, snacky kind of things, because we'll eat it. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. And neither one of us need a lot of that, but it's better to avoid temptation than to put it in front of you. The other night, we both just got to wanting something sweet, and I said, hey, why don't we make some cookies? And, you know, till about, I guess maybe a year ago, I don't know that it's been that long, he had never made a cookie. And but he learned that you could make cookies out of the little bags that you get in the store that's got the ingredients, and you pour it in a bowl, and, you know, you add a couple of things, and ooh, there's cookies. So he learned that there was that such thing. And so I'd got a couple little packs from Dollar Tree, I think it was, and he had got excited about making cookies, because he felt he was qualified to do that. But the other night, why don't we make some cookies? Well, I'm the kind of person that I don't necessarily have to have the ingredients that everything calls for in order to make something. You know, it's just, hey, what do we got? What can we throw together? So I come in here, and He's all about it because he thinks we're fixing to pour a package into the bowl and go on. Well, that's not what happened. I started getting out Ritz crackers and I got out peanut butter, and he's looking at me like I've done grown two heads trying to figure out what in the world is this woman up to. But I got that out. Now, my mama used to make something, and I'm sure some of y'all have done the same thing, is you put peanut butter on a Ritz cracker and you melt some chocolate and you dip them in the chocolate and then you let them cool in the fridge or freezer for a little bit, and you've got like, I don't know, maybe Twix, you know, the little Twix candy things. It's kind of got like a cookie, and it's kind of a version of that. Well, I didn't have chocolate. So what did I do? I realized that I had some almond bark, you know, that white, I don't know, it looks like white chocolate. It's not chocolate, but it looks like chocolate, white chocolate. And I took a little piece of that and melted it down. And again, he's standing there looking at me like, okay, what are you doing? And I said, I'm making us some cookies. And he's like, that don't look like any cook. How do we cook them? And it's like, we don't. Okay, well that threw him off because you got to cook cookies. Well, that so anyway, by the time it was all over with, I had put the peanut butter on the Ritz, dipped it both in the melted almond bark, and put it in the refrigerator. Well, needless to say, he was a little skeptical about how this was going to turn out. But once he ate them, he decided, okay, that might be acceptable. It would pass as a cookie. Wasn't actually a cookie, wasn't his sugar cookies, but you know, close enough. So he was okay for a little bit. But I don't know how y'all's place is or was around Christmas time, especially as you were growing up. I know when I was growing up, my mama, God love her soul, come Thanksgiving, right on through to New Year's, she was cooking nonstop. Now, my mama always cooked. That it didn't matter. If you came to my mama's house, you were going to get fed. Didn't matter if you were hungry. You were going to get fed. You were going to eat something, and you wasn't going to leave without taking some of it with you. Well, when it got around the holidays, Mama went overboard. And I say overboard. She didn't. Because as a kid, we loved it. Because it was the time of year we got stuff that we didn't get any other time of the year. We got fudge. And every year she would find some new recipe, something different to make. And so every year it was, like those peanut butter and Ritz and chocolate. You know, I was a teenager before the first time she ever made those, and it was like, wow, this is really good. And she would make, you know, coconut and powdered sugar and put all that together and dip that into chocolate, and you know, she made all kinds of candies. She'd make peanut brittle, popcorn balls. She made all kinds of. Now there was all kinds of stuff that she made. But she made candy, she made cookies, she made tea cakes. Something that you automatically see people go, ugh, is fruitcake. Now, mind you, I'm that way when you try to give me store-bought fruitcake. And remember, I'm not picky. But store-bought fruitcake to me, I can't hardly talk, can't say it. Store-bought fruitcake for me, I guess I compare it to my mama's, and it's just, ugh, you know. So mama's fruitcake, the best way I can describe it is if you took a bunch of fruit and you took a bunch of nuts, and then you had just enough batter to glue all of that together. That was mama's fruitcake. Them things, like, they were probably about that. I'll tell you how big they were. You know, the little tins that the little shortbread cookies used to come in, the little ones that was about this big. They were about that size because Mama could just about perfectly fit one of her fruitcakes down in those little tins. But those fruitcakes, I bet one of her fruitcakes weighed 5 pounds because it had so much fruit and nuts in it. And like I said, just enough batter to hold it all together. So it was wonderful. I've got the recipe for it. I used to make it all the time, but when the boys all went into the military and moved away, I wasn't going to make it all because my husband's not going to eat it. And I would. I would eat every bite of it. And so it's like, I don't need that kind of sugar thing going on. So I don't make them anymore, but I love them. And that's why I don't make them anymore. But my mama, like I said, that woman would cook from days before Thanksgiving right on through the new year. Just nonstop making food, because if anybody came over, they were going to leave with desserts and candy, and she'd make a little to-go thing to take with them in addition to what she fed them while they were there. So there was, our house was just, and we weren't rich, but my mama would make sure that when people visited, they knew they were loved before they left. And my daddy at Christmas time, now my daddy wasn't somebody that you would think would be, if somebody said, hey, does Mr. Creed, I bet Mr. Creed don't decorate a lot for Christmas. Well, you'd have been wrong. Now my daddy, he might have, all this fuss, but he's the first one to want, and we didn't put up a tree a long time before Christmas, so it was a couple of weeks, because of course they were always live trees and you had to water them. And but Daddy would, come on sister, let's go look for a tree. That's what he called me, was sister. Once my little sister was born, he called me sister. And he'd, come on sister, let's go look for a tree. And we'd go out in the woods and we'd tromp around for hours, and we'd look for that perfect tree. Now my daddy was very picky. He didn't want flat-sided trees. It had to look a certain way. And I remember one Christmas, my daddy, we had looked all over the woods and could not find the tree that he liked. We didn't go to a tree lot. No, we tromped around through the woods looking for a tree. And we couldn't find a tree. He just did not like any of them that he saw. Didn't like none of them. Nope, don't like that one. Nope, that ain't gonna work. That one's too big. That one's too little. That one's flat on one side. This one looks like it's been eaten by squirrels. Whatever it was, he didn't like any of them. Well, we're almost back to the house, and he is stomping mad. You know what stomping mad is. Just when and you're getting on, and he was stomping mad, and he was getting on back to the house, and we was headed up the hill, and he looked, and there was a pine tree that we was passing, and he looks up, and he goes, up there in the top of that tree, that looks like that would make a pretty Christmas tree. And I'm looking up in this tree, because this tree wasn't no small pine tree. And Daddy, how would you get that down? He said, well, you just climb up there and cut it. And I'm looking up there and I'm thinking, I hope I ain't getting wrong, because I like to climb trees, but I didn't want to climb that tree, because it was on up in there. Well, my daddy was, even at that time, he was no spring chicken. I say that because what the funny part about it is I'm only a little younger than he was at that time. But I couldn't imagine myself climbing a pine tree right now to go get a Christmas tree out of it. But anyway, he was probably see, I'm still doing that. I'm still doing that well anyway thing that I told y'all I was trying to not do. I'm so sorry. But he decided he was going to climb that tree and check out that Christmas tree. And he took his little handsaw with him, and he climbed that tree. And he climbed that tree, and he climbed that tree till he got up there at the top of that tree. And he looked, and he'd lean, and he'd look, and he'd lean. He decided that was the one he was going to take. So he pulled his handsaw off of his little overalls, there off the little snap of his little overalls, and he started sawing. Well, I moved back because I didn't want a pine tree on top of my head, but he started sawing, and he saws, and he gets through that thing, and it falls down to the ground, and he climbs back down, and he sets that part of it up that he's cut down. He's going to have to trim a little more off the bottom because it was a little taller than he thought. And he sets it up, and he looks at it, and he like, what do you think, sister? And it's perfect, Daddy. And it was. We drug that tree back to the house, and it was a perfect tree. But I'm telling you, you talk about being determined that if he was going to do it, he was going to do it right. And that was every aspect of his life. If it was worth doing, it was worth doing right. And no matter what it was, whether it was a Christmas tree, whether it was building cabinets for people, he wanted to make sure that it was right. So this is a little fun story about my daddy. But you know, I have so many good memories of my family and growing up, and I think that's why I love Christmas today. I've lived almost, not quite, but almost 6 decades, and I love Christmas as much as if I was a 6-year-old, because I had such good memories of when I was a child and how my parents went above and beyond for the holidays. And I don't mean in a commercial, spend a lot of money kind of way. I mean in the way they went about welcoming guests into the home. That is the biggest thing that I remember as a child, is how welcomed, and it wasn't just at Christmas, of how welcomed, if people came to our home, friends came to our home, they were welcomed in just as if they, like you hadn't seen them in forever, and they were your very favorite people. And that was how, you know, that's just how I remember it. And so that's, I think, why Christmas means so much to me, is because I've seen how much they put out there of themselves, especially during the Christmas time. I plan on, like I mentioned earlier, I plan on doing some more videos. If I know people haven't been commenting much on these videos, but if I can get a little feedback from y'all on what do you like about them, what would you like to see, I don't know which direction to go. Do you like these little stories, these little visits? Do you want to see cooking? Do you want to see me tromping around in the woods, or bottle feeding a calf, or us doing projects around the place? I don't know. Or would you like to see a combination of those things? Maybe you don't want to see any of it. If you don't, bless your hearts, I understand. But if you do, please leave me a comment down below on what you would like. You know, do you like any of this, or is there something that you would like to see? If you're planning on me climbing a pine tree, if you want to see a video of that, no. Love you, but no. No, I'm just messing with you. But if you do have something you'd like to see, just let us know. I do again repeat that I'm trying to get some accessories in here, and I'm still trying to learn how to do this so I can be better at it. And I'm so happy that you're sticking with me while I'm going through this and while I'm trying to learn. If you have any suggestions on how I can improve this, please jump in and let me know. I don't mind at all, because I know I'm trying to learn how to do this. One of the things I want to do is I want to give a shout out and a thank you to a friend of mine that has 2 video channels, 2 YouTube channels, and him and his family have been very supportive of my endeavor here, because again, I know nothing, and you know, they keep telling me you're doing good, keep going. And so I appreciate that. One of their channels is called Wide Open Adventures. If you want a family style channel, good country folk that are just, they've got the cutest little boys, and they've got the ladies are sweet, and they have some good cooking on there. Good country cooking. They have the type of cooking that I would not feel bad about pulling up a chair to the table. So I just want to give out a shout out, and I'll make sure that I put a link to their channel below called Wide Open Adventures on YouTube. Please go over there, subscribe to them. They'd love to see you. Another one of their channels is called Abnormal Investigations. The maker of that YouTube channel, Mike, he finds stories about sometimes strange deaths or attacks and that sort of thing that could possibly be cryptid in nature. And he puts the facts out there, and then you can make up your mind of what do you think it was. Could it be something natural, or could it be something else? So, he does a good job on researching and then letting you decide what you think, what you believe. So if you want to check out the other channel, it's called Abnormal Investigations. I can also put a link below in the description for that channel. And, you check out both of them. Another shout out I would like to do is, and I do not get paid for any of this, or, I'm not sponsored by anybody. Can you imagine my channel being sponsored by anything, Lordy? But if you are looking for a graphic design person and you like to support small business, if you will go and check out, she's got a page on Facebook that's Timber Woolley Graphic Designs. If you will check out, I'll put a link for her Facebook channel down in the description as well. She does excellent graphic design work, and I personally recommend her because I have used her stuff. If you've seen some of the graphic design on as you're coming into my videos and as it's leaving my videos, that's some of her stuff. But she does very professional work, and for companies and individuals and whatever you need. And if you will just check her out, she'll be glad to help you. Otherwise, folks, I don't guess there's much more I can rattle about today, but I am glad that you come by. If you like this video, please subscribe. I know that a lot of folks watch videos and they never subscribe to channels, but if you feel led to do so, please subscribe. That gets you notifications when I have future videos. I'd love to see you back. And if you like it, please give me that thumbs up down there. It just kind of helps the, what do they call it? The algorithm of whatever that means, that it'll make it pop up more and more people will see the videos. If you'll just do that, and if you have a comment, please leave that comment down below. I do appreciate you, because you could be watching anything, but you're here watching me. And so, I give you kudos for that. So I appreciate you. I love you. And I hope you join us back again in Mountain Patriot Homestead.